I'm doing awesome, Christina. How are you doing, love bug? Long time no see.
I'm so happy to see you. Okay, Bake Club. I'm so excited. If you don't already know this incredible human, this is Tai Davis. He is someone you need in your life because he is incredibly creative. He's a mastermind of a pastry chef, and he is so incredibly positive. His spirit is contagious. Tai, welcome to Bake Club.
Thank you so much, love. I'm very, very happy to be here. This is an amazing opportunity. So yeah.
You're here. Okay, Tai. First off, what are you going to teach us today?
All right, so today I have one of my absolute favorite things, chocolate chip cookies. But with the chocolate chip cookies, we're going to do a kind of a spin on it. I was kind of in a weird situation where I kind of ran out of butter one day, but I had a crap ton of schmaltz, which is chicken fat. And actually ended up putting it into my cookies, and they turned out amazing. So we're going to make some schmaltz chocolate chip cookies today, Tosie.
I am so excited for that. Okay, so when you were like, oh, I'm going to make a chocolate chip cookie, I was like, Tai Davis doesn't just make a chocolate chip cookie. There's always something below the surface in this really brilliant way. That's how your creative mind works. And I love the story of this cookie from it was going to be a chocolate chip cookie, but I didn't have butter. And so I improvised. And I think that improvisation in the kitchen is where I find the most creativity. That is such an incredible source of creativity for me. Is it the same for you?
It's so important because once you have kind of like all these different kind of like variations or different outlets for things you can do, or when you run out of something, you have to sub it. A lot of times it turns out even better than like the original. And this is what happened with this recipe. So it was kind of like this weird ideation type of session where I was like, chicken fat's kind of savory, a little salty. So maybe I don't even have to add as much salt to it, and literally gave one to all my friends and family, and they were like, this cookie is amazing. I don't know what's in it. I said chicken fat, and they were like, mind blown. So
I'll take it.
Here for it.
So it's a schmaltz chocolate chip cookie. I think the biggest question in my mind, because at Bake Club, we talk a lot when we're baking, especially this year, about like ingredient substitutions. And when we talk about butter and other fats, whether we're making a cookie or a cake or a butter or a cookie, a cake, a pie, bars, whatever it is, brownies, the idea of telling a flavor story by subbing in different ingredients, specifically fat here, is quite interesting to me. And so I'm wondering, in schmaltz land, if someone doesn't have schmaltz, could you use bacon fat?
Yes. So a lot of
can I go a whole? Can I do a roll of? Because I was going like, ooh, I wonder what you could use bacon fat. Could you use Crisco?
You could use bacon fat. You could use Crisco. You could use avocado oil. You could use all butter if you wanted to. You could also use coconut oil if you want to keep it super legit. If you're on a diet and you're trying to get rid of kind of like you're around like 15, applesauce, bananas, awesome substitute. Chia seeds soaked in water overnight, awesome as well. Substitute for the butter kind of content in there. You will have to add a little bit more fat to it, but it'll definitely keep it together. But my favorite is duck fat. Duck fat makes everything better. So if you want to be a girl, duck fat.
Dude, I have a quart container of duck fat.
Christina,
not in my freezer, but I never thought about putting it into cookies. What does it give it?
So it gives it just this richness that is out of this world. I do a really cool duck fat brownie using dark chocolate and duck fat, and they are out of this world. So definitely do duck fat brownies, girl. You will thank me later.
Okay, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you for that. Okay, my other question is, in the land of butters, because I was grocery shopping the other day and I saw goat butter, and I thought, I wonder what Tai would say about this.
Goat butter is actually very neutral in flavor. You don't really a lot when it comes to like your cookies, so you can definitely use that. And the fat content is honestly like a little bit less than actually cow. So if you want to use like a really good European butter and you don't really have it or available, you don't want to spend the money for it, definitely get some goat butter. It works just as well. I love it.
Okay, I'm ready to start mixing my fats with my sugars. I imagine that's where we're starting, but you're our guide. You're teaching us this. I'm going to have 101 more questions on behalf of myself and Bake Club. But I also know that once you start talking about fat and flavor, it's impossible, at least for me, to not start being like, all right, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves.
Like, I always like to little moisturize with a little bit of fat too. You know, if I get a little cougar on my hands, just kind of moisturize. It can be ashy on camera. So all about that right there. But
well, Why don't butter companies sell lotion in like the beauty and personal care aisle? That's what I'm just waiting for that to happen.
Because they're not thinking the right way.
We should start a
But at the same time, I don't think I want to go to the grocery store and see like some Blue Bonnet shea butter, because I don't think I'm going to put that on my skin. You know, that sounds a little weird.
Fair. That's when you're like, why does my skin smell like a freshly baked cookie? This two worlds are colliding way too closely.
Right? Why do I have this line of people following me? Like, what's going on? Oh, I smell like butter. Got it.
Oh, it's because I smell like butter. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's fair. We get plenty of bragging rights as pastry chefs, right?
Yes.
Okay, talk me through this. Where does it start?
All right, so this recipe, Christina, is super easy. I love it because chocolate chip cookies, there are only like a few key things you really need to just know to make a great chocolate chip cookie. One is the amount of time you cream your butter and your sugar. The other one is your ingredients. I always, when I make my things, it always comes down to the ingredients. So whenever I use butter, I like to use really good European butter. I use regular all-purpose flour, but like the chocolate's got to be legit. Like, don't use iodized salt because it is the bane of my existence and I absolutely hate it. So sea salt, absolutely, because that iodized salt gives like a weird flavor sometimes, you know? So that's always key too. And then bake time, you know, never overbake your cookies.
Oh, speaking of bake time, we have to heat our oven, right?
Yes. So you preheat your oven for this recipe to 375 degrees.
Ooh, that's a little bit higher. Why 375?
Because for these cookies, you don't actually have to chill them, which is really, really rare for a chocolate chip cookie. Often, whenever, you know, we make our chocolate chip cookies, we got to make the dough, you got to roll it out, you got to put it in the freezer, and you cut them so they keep their shape. But these cookies hold their shape extremely well. So because we don't have to like freeze them or put them in the freezer, cut out the middle end. So we just literally pop them straight in the oven.
And do they not spread as much because the makeup of schmaltz or bacon fat or otherwise just has a different content of ingredients? I mean, butter is milk powder, or is milk solids, fat, and water. And so that water causes a natural spread.
And actually, they don't actually spread a lot from the emulsification from the butter and the sugar. So we whip it for about 2 minutes because that aerates it, but it also gives it really, really good structural integrity for it. And then also because we don't have, honestly, a lot of fat in these cookies, and the schmaltz does kind of hold together, but it doesn't really make a difference, you know?
Wait, did you just say we don't have a lot of fat in these cookies?
Yeah, we don't have too much. I've got these cookies. I
love the way you're PRing these cookies. I've seen the recipe. I love the way there's just not that much fat in these cookies. Don't worry about it. I'm with you. Let's do it.
Yeah, don't worry. If you're eating chocolate chip cookies, don't worry about the fat because you're worried about the wrong things. You're eating the cookies for the cookies. Like,
you're worried about
it. Cookies with fat.
I'm with you. Okay, where do we start?
All right, so we have our room temperature butter right here. And I also have some awesome schmaltz from a place here in St. Louis called Bolliards. They actually make it themselves. So they always hook me up when it comes to all of my good schmaltz. So room temperature butter right here. We got 3/4 of a cup of room temperature butter. And then we're going to put in 1/4 of a cup of schmaltz inside of it. If you don't have schmaltz, you can sub just 1 cup of any fat you have. If you want to use duck fat, go for that. If you want to use Crisco, go for that, especially if you kind of want to say more vegan, you know?
Yeah, and each one of these different fats is going to yield, I imagine, not only a slightly different flavor, but a slightly different texture as well. My grandma used to always make cookies using Crisco if she ran out of butter.
The cool thing about the schmaltz is when, my favorite part about a chocolate chip cookie are the soft middle and then the crispy edges. So the schmaltz actually helps those edges to crisp up really well, but it also adds this weird umami to it where you're like, I don't know where this flavor is coming from, but I'm definitely here for it.
But I'm here for it. I'm here for you, Tai. Okay, are you gonna get mad at me if I tell you that my butter wasn't at room temperature and so I'm microwaving it just a little bit?
No, because microwaves are our friends. People always stay away from microwaves, but when it comes to bringing butter to temp, even tempering chocolate, if you're in a bind, you got temperature chocolate girl, 30-second intervals, get it together. Yeah. But absolutely, yeah. And when people, I always tell them per stick of butter, 15 seconds, kind of gets it to like the right temperature. So if it's super cold, 15 seconds, done.
Got it. Just to take the chill off.
Yep. Okay.
Also, I'm gonna let you in on my old lady bake club secret, which is I don't have a stand mixer, at least not where I am right now. So I'm gonna like I might have to take off this coat. I'm gonna like really get in there with the muscle because I know that the creaming, the emulsification process this cream of our butter and sugars is where we are most concerned. So I just want to call out Bake Club. First of all, can we get eyes on Ty's beautiful stand mixer? About taste level. Right. And also, bear with me. You just better be prepared to put some muscle into it.
That's how you stay fit.
That's how you stay fit. Okay, I'm ready. So we have 3/4 of a cup of like unsalted butter. Ideally, it's the good stuff like European style. And then 1/4 cup of schmaltz or some other fun fat alternative. I would like to say to Bake Club, you've made a chocolate chip cookie with all butter before. So bring in something fun when it comes to the fat department. You have 1/4 cup of fun fat to bring to the party with Ty.
Definitely. Definitely 1/4 cup. If, like I said, if you don't have schmaltz, just do 1 full cup of whatever fat you have.
Okay, got it. I've got mine.
And our sugars, and this is the creaming process.
Okay, talk to me about the sugars. How much of each?
So yeah, for all of our sugars, we got 1 cup of granulated, and we got 1 cup of brown sugar. Brown sugars also don't matter. If you got dark brown sugar at home, they'll just taste a little bit darker because it has a little bit more molasses in it, you know? But if you don't also have brown sugar too, you can sub in regular sugar with maybe a little bit of honey added to it or a little bit of molasses to it. That's always my go-to because I run out of brown sugar all the time. So if I ever have a recipe, I always do 1 cup of sugar for the recipe to 1/4 of a teaspoon of molasses. And that's kind of like your brown sugar base right there if you run it.
I would also 100% get down with the molasses moment with duck fat chocolate chip cookies. For some reason, the idea of molasses and duck fat and chocolate chip cookies, that very much speaks to me. So 1 cup of each, that's big time.
That is big time, but the brown sugar keeps the moisture in there, and then the regular sugar kind of helps to just kind of make it a little bit sweet, you know? We also add a little bit extra salt to these cookies, so we need a pretty high percentage of sugar in it.
Got it. Is there any part of this where we're adding more sugar because the duck fat is a little savory? The schmaltz, the chicken fat is a little savory, and we're sort of counterbalancing that or finding a balance in that intentionally?
Yeah, because usually when I make my chocolate chip cookies, I actually have the amount of brown sugar, but I up the brown sugar in this recipe to, instead of a 1/2 cup, to 1 cup, because it actually helps to, one, make it a little less savory, because you don't also want your chocolate chip cookies taste like fried chicken, you know?
Yeah, totally.
It definitely helps it out a lot, but also it helps with the richness of it. You know, I think that the brown sugar inside of it and the high sugar content just helps to really, really kind of develop those flavors and bring it out. Because we have milk chocolate, which is sweet, dark chocolate, which is bitter, and then the schmaltz, which is savory. So we need to have a little bit more sugar.
All right, and the creaming process has begun.
Yes, we're creaming away over here. I have my mixer over here set to medium, and I love to cream it for at least 2 minutes. If you have a little bit more time, you can go from 3 to 4 minutes too, because that'll actually help the structural integrity of your cookies, and also just make sure that they just taste amazing. They're soft, they're chewy, they're just delicious, you know? I don't think people take enough time to kind of cream their butters and their sugars and stuff together. A lot of times when it comes to baking, that definitely makes a huge difference. Huge difference.
I'm with you. I think it's the most underestimated part of the mixing process. Whether you're a home baker or a professional baker, it's sort of like the beginning of a recipe. So you're always like, okay, go, 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 go. It looks like it's together. It looks like it's together. But really, the work that you do at the head of a recipe and creaming sets the tone for the entire recipe. And dry ingredients, it's like, I don't want you to mix it that long. But when you're at the stage, you got to
mix it also really huge difference too, because if you cream your butter and your sugar enough and aerate it enough, once you add your eggs, you don't have to mix it that long, because the more you aerate those eggs, then you kind of come up with one of those cakey cookies or like a cakey brownie, because now your eggs have all this air inside of them. And we don't want that. We want them to be nice, silky, smooth, chewy, and delicious.
Amazing. Okay, Ty, while I mix and while you mix, what have you been up to?
Everything, Christina. So I have a bakery opening in about 4 weeks now.
I'm so excited for you. Alchemy, right?
Yes, Alchemy Bakery. Yeah, I'm teaming up with a really cool company called Work and Leisure. I've been working with them as their kind of consultant chef and just private dinner chef for a really long time. But they were just like, hey, when you collaborate, we got all this open space from the pandemic. Would you like to come in here and say your baked goods? And I said, absolutely. So we're doing that. 2 more books coming out, which is amazing.
Will you get Bake Club eyes on your copy? I don't have mine here with
me.
love it so much.
So this is my first little baby right here. It's called Tai Davis pastry. And honestly, it's just for a lot of my clients that come in for like weddings or want specific desserts. And I want it to be kind of like like an anthology of just kind of like my favorite works and stuff that I've created. So we've got cakes, we've got entremets, we've got chocolates inside of it. Very visual, like no recipes, but my next two ones are all full recipe books. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Okay, so also Bake Club, I think we missed probably the most important detail. St. Louis!
That's what we're repping. STL.
Alchemy Bakery, the opening in just a few weeks is going to be in St. Louis. You can obviously love him from afar. You can buy his cookbook. You can make his schmaltz chocolate chip cookies, but you're the greatest. Okay, wait, what just went in?
All right, so right now I added my vanilla extract.
Ooh, I got to grab mine. Okay, vanilla, how much?
So for our vanilla extract, I always add a 1 tablespoon of really good vanilla extract. If you use plantation,
I love this man. 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. He is not messing around.
These cookies are full flavor. Full flavor.
Full flavor. And if you only have your teaspoon measure, Bake Club, it's 3 teaspoons that equal a tablespoon. That's it.
Kitchen hack right there.
That's it. Oh my God. Okay, Tai, what has been, of your clients, what has been your favorite thing that you've made over the last few months upon request?
Upon request, I had to do, so one of my clients is very particular, but she loves like gravity defying cakes. So she wanted me to kind of make this cake that was like 3 tiers, regular base, and then she was like, but I want the top tier to be floating and whatnot. Can you do that? And I said, absolutely. I said, what's your favorite shape? She was like, I love spheres or I love cubes. So that's my jam. You give me something kind of difficult to work with, and then also give me like free artistic expression done. So I ended up making her kind of like a cube base with 6 cubes stacked on top. And then I had a really cool armature in there that kind of made it seem like it was like leaning over. So the cubes were kind of like stacked and leaning. And that's been literally my favorite cake all year.
Oh my God. Okay, can I request that when you take over on Tuesday that you give us eyes on this cake?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Done and done.
So Bake Club, I have another fun one that Tai was telling me about. So when I was hanging out with Tai earlier, I was just like this, just snacking up before we actually started making these cookies. And he was like, what kind of Cheetos are you eating? And I was like, crunchy ones. And he started telling me the story.
Cheeto macaroons. Like, you never had a Cheeto macaroon before, totally do it.
You haven't?
Favorite individuals in the world, Angie, she loves Cheetos, but she's just like a sweet connoisseur. So she was like, hey, could you master some Cheetos with Max? And I was like, absolutely. So the first thing that kind of popped into my head was this weird kind of like Midwest thing where they do cheddar apple pies, where they put like cheddar cheese on like the crust and it makes this weird thing. Like it's really weird, but I did the same thing with these macaroons. So I did like macaroons that actually had Cheetos inside of them. There was salted caramel and then apple buttercream. And she's literally ordered, I think, probably 3 dozen now because she says she's absolutely addicted to it.
I mean, can I get in on that order? Bake Club also, I just want to say, Tai, in like reasons why I love him as a pastry chef. I'm not even gonna like start as a human because if you can't already feel the love, I don't know where you are. But he has this beautiful, brilliant mind that both celebrates the visual, but also celebrates the like rambunctious heartbeat that a great dessert can be. I mean, it's almost sacrilegious to think of a French macaron and Cheetos and this idea of like the cheddar apple pie vibe. And I so love that you challenge it all and you bring it all to life and you do it with your spirit and your spontaneity. But I love that you can go from making this gorgeous, amazing, beautifully visual layer cake that I no doubt tasted just insane to having this beautiful sense of humor with like, I can definitely get down with a Cheeto macaroon, but it's not just a Cheeto macaroon. You think about how you're going to tell the flavor story in a way that really celebrates something bigger than a Cheeto addiction, which, you know, guilty.
Of course, because at the end of the day, I think people need to realize whether it's a really avant-garde cake or just a simple cookie, baking's fun. So just have fun with the people. Like that's what makes it, as exciting as it is. You know, that's why I wake up every day and do what I do, because baking is just really fun. It's very personal because food is very personal, but at the same time, you have all this creative expression to use whatever ingredients you want, or to kind of push boundaries, or to kind of run out of something and kind of sub it in and see what happens. You know, to me, that's very exciting. And the whole spontaneity of like baking, once you become really proficient with like the foundations of stuff, it's just like savory cooking. And I get stuff from savory chefs all the time. Baking, so you gotta measure stuff out. It's all chemistry, blah blah blah, math, math, math. Like, yeah, I'm just like, you just gotta try it. Like, what are you afraid of? You know, you just spent $400 on a half of a pig. You know, like, you're not worried about that.
No, I'm trying to get some of that pig fat in this chocolate chip cookie. Tai, I love that attitude that like just have fun with it. I feel like if there's any tagline that I know about you through all of the ways in which you approach time in the kitchen to life at home with your sweet plants or whatever it is, it's like just have fun with it. Okay, that's it. So here's what my creaming mixture looks like. It's definitely lightened up. Yeah. Mine's probably a little thinner because I microwave my fat just a tad to get it going. What is yours like?
So this is mine right here. You see it's really, really thick. I love for it to, honestly, 2 shades is what I always tell people. So whenever you're beating them, you want it to be about 2 shades lighter, especially if you use a really good European butter, because European butter is like yellow. So once it's really pale like this, really nice and fluffy, you're in there, boo.
Got it. And ditto schmaltz, right?
Yes.
Nice and yellowy. Okay, what's next? So we just added our 1 tablespoon vanilla extract to our 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of light brown sugar, substitutions allowed. 2/4 cup of butter, 1/4 cup of schmaltz or other fun fat. Okay, 2 eggs, room tempies.
Yep, 2 of those guys.
Woo.
Beautiful.
I usually put 1 egg in a cookie recipe this size, so I'm so curious about that, using the sort of different fat and the way in which 2 eggs in this recipe will exist, especially knowing, to what you said earlier, we're not going to mix our eggs in a crazy amount. It's not about using eggs for aeration, huh?
Yes. So the eggs are literally there for the structural integrity. You don't want to over whip the eggs. That's why we add 2 of them, because you're literally putting them in there, kind of whisking you up just a little bit, and that's it. And that's honestly the hardest part of the entire recipe right there. It's just creaming the butter with the sugar and then adding your eggs, because after that, you literally put all your dry ingredients in 1 bowl all together, put it in your mixer, mix it up until it just incorporates. So you don't ever want to overmix your cookies. Also, key thing, don't overmix cookies, overmix cakes, don't overmix anything that has like flour in it, because you're going to get gluten and it's going to end up like a rubber pup.
Thank you, Tai. I support that.
Literally,
it is it's like overmix the heck out of your butter and sugars and undermix the heck out of your dry ingredients.
Absolutely, yeah. Take all your egg out on the butter and the sugars. You can cream as much as you want. Cream as much as you want. But these cookies did nothing to you, so you don't have to beat them up, guys.
And you like this?
Just like that.
Okay. I'm feeling really good about this batter. Talk to me about dry ingredients.
Done. So dry ingredients are also super, super easy. We got to start with 3 cups of flour.
3 cups flour. Do you have a flour you like to use, or do you just rock AP?
Girl, I just rock King Arthur. Like, I think at King Arthur, yeah. Or whatever actually, honestly, Restaurant Depot has, because I always buy it in 50-pound bags. 480. So whatever the Depot has at the time, awesome. I really like to stay more towards like King Arthur and stuff. I don't like to do anything generic, because I don't really know kind of like the fillers that they put in it, or like kind of where it comes from. I'm very kind of like cognizant on things like that. So I try to kind of keep things pretty consistent.
Okay, got it. All right, I got my 3 cups of flour rocking here.
Beautiful. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of baking powder.
1 teaspoon of baking powder for lift. Okay.
Add straight to your flour. And then we're also going to do, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And then we're going to do half a teaspoon of baking powder.
Okay, got it. So 1 teaspoon of soda, a half a teaspoon of powder.
Yep.
Which I'm so curious about, because I usually do the opposite. However, what's interesting to me is that we added 2 eggs to yours. And so eggs are naturally, we don't want to aerate, but they're naturally going to give a little more volume. So you need less baking powder.
Yes. And because we're not whisking them up as much for all of that stuff, you know, we have to, we add a little bit less for them. And then also, I don't like to add a crap ton of the baking powder to it because I don't want it to be really nice and fluffy. I love chocolate chip cookies that are really nice and just thin and just super, super gooey and super chewy. So that's why I add those.
I mean, Tai, what I love about this moment is that I have my chocolate chip cookie recipe. Everyone has their chocolate chip cookie recipe that they love. And the thing about that's brilliant is that it's yours and you love it and it's the one that you go back to. It is a classic. But what I love about baking this cookie with you is it really forces me to think about, you know, what does happen with fat and chocolate chip cookies? And if I actually ever question that, why do I only add 1 egg? Why are my leaveners like baking powder and baking soda the way that they are? Because I am just so curious and so excited to fall in love with your schmaltz chocolate chip cookie, acknowledging that the little simple moments along the way of what my standard chocolate chip cookie recipe is different than yours. And I'm so freaking curious. I know we're on to salt. No table salt. Yes, sea salt.
Always sea salt.
I
mean, you gotta have good salt, man. Like that stuff with the Lero, with the umbrella. Like I just don't trust the iodinized stuff, man. It's just weird. We also don't need iodinized salt anyway because we have iodine in everything we eat. That was like back in the past when people had to supplement like the iodine for stuff. So now we're cool. Yeah. Been past that. So
we don't need that.
This little guy right here, and salt is the key because salt is flavor.
Okay, talk to me. How much salt is going in this dry ingredient bowl?
So we want 1 teaspoon of salt. Usually I got my little shaker right here, and it's probably about 4 turns.
Got it.
Done. And then another cool trick too for this recipe is just throw your chocolate chips right into your flour.
Okay, talk to me. And we're using 2 different kinds of chocolate chips, right?
Yeah. We want milk chocolate because milk chocolate is a little sweeter. Also, the melting point is a little bit lower than dark chocolate. And then dark chocolate adds richness to it.
So which is also, again, another chocolate chip move of like, I usually use semi-sweet. I use whatever I have. I've never thought about this balance of semi-sweet and milk together. And also in the ways that it either counterbalances the fat that you're using, or to your point, the way that it's going to behave from a melting temperature standpoint.
Absolutely. And I really like to use like regular chips and then chunks. So if you ever get the chunks, I love the chunks because the chunks actually add texture because they don't break down as much. They also are really visually appealing, and I'm all about aesthetics when it comes to my cookies.
I got you both milk and semi-sweet chips, but I'm dying to see your chunks. I went to the grocery store, but I bought a bag of Cheetos instead of buying fancy chocolate. Don't be mad. Don't be mad, Tai. That's just
definitely not mad. So these are like one of my little chunks is still in the flour right now. But what I do is I just get my bars of chocolate and I just literally just chop them up. I like to have small chunks, big chunks, medium chunks, like as many other chunks as you want. Like chunk it out, man. Chunk it out.
Chunk it out. Okay. And we mix all these dry ingredients together.
Yep. So after you add your flour, your baking soda, your salt, your baking powder, your chocolate chips, mix them around a little bit. The flour actually helps it so that your chocolate chips don't sink down all the way to the bottom of your cookies, which is why I kind of add them to this dry mix right there. And then literally pop all the dry chocolate chips to your mixer. Done.
Got it. Woo, Bake Club, it's on.
And then you only want to mix this up to literally just till it's incorporated. No more.
Okay, here we go. The mix. Okay, Tai, how did you get into baking? Because one of my other things that blows my mind every time is you speak as the professional pastry chef that you are, but you're entirely self-taught, which is, I think says so much about your intelligence and the way in which you absorb information, especially technical pastry information.
Oh, thank you so much, love. I honestly got into baking from, I just like cooking in general from just an early age. So my mom's she's like a single mom. So I got 3 sisters. They're all way older than me. So once I turned probably 5 or 6, they were all out of the house. So my mom was always working, trying to provide for us. And I would come home from school and they would always be either TV dinners or leftovers. And one day I was like, Mom, I'm tired of eating boxed mac and cheese and like TV dinners and stuff. So how do you fry chicken? And she was like, if you burn my house down, I will absolutely kill you, but this is how you do it. And
She's like, baby boy, don't mess with me, but also I'll teach you how to cook.
Exactly. My mom was very like nonsensical. So she gave me the recipe. I got him a little tender. She was like, this is how you cook it for, make sure they're not pink in the middle, and fry me some chicken. And after that point in time, I was just like, I'm an independent woman now. Like, I can cook now. It's awesome. I'm frying chicken. It's dope. So that's kind of where my love of food kind of came from. And then also like we didn't have like a lot of money and stuff growing up, you know, like a lot of families and stuff. So a lot of times my mom, she would cook for us for like celebratory events. So like Thanksgiving or birthday. So food was always something that we would kind of eat to celebrate like life or celebrate like a special kind of like occasion. So food was always one of those things that was always extremely like nostalgic, but always really special. So I think that's where my love came from it. But girl, I have no idea how I started. I went to school for music performance, graduated, and then kind of got out and was like, I don't think this is a sustainable career. So what can I do? I worked with people with autism and developmental disabilities for like 3 years, which was super rewarding, but it wasn't like where my heart was. And then woke up one day and was like, what can I do that I always have a job doing? I was like, people always got to eat. And went and started in the saber world. And that was 11 years ago. I've been doing it ever since, and I love it.
Where do you get first of all, I love that story. Your mom must be so incredibly proud of you and feeling a little like he's not like, I did that, just saying.
She's so weird though, because she calls me Chef Ty, and I think that's so weird.
You're like, Mom, stop. Moms are so fun, aren't they? Where do you get like, okay, so you find this love of food, you find this spark, right?
Yeah.
But to take that into the brilliance, the seemingly simple brilliance of this chocolate chip cookie, and hearing you talk about food, ingredients, the reasons why, I mean, that's deeper than 10 or 11 or 12 years in the industry. That is like a sponge of information and trial and error. So we're scooping these cookies.
We always scooping.
How big do you like to make them?
So right here, this right here is a 2-ounce scoop. It's like that right there. So you can make them as big as you want, honestly. I really like something a little bit bigger than a softball if you're gonna make these guys right here. So if you're going to roll them out by hand, something that'll kind of fill up about half your palm. So about that size. Because we like really, really nice, big, sexy cookies. Okay,
also real talk, this dough is serious business. It's serious business. Okay, so I'm going on the sheet tray. Those spread a little bit, but they don't go super, super flat. So what do you think, 2 or 3 inches apart?
Yes, that always 2 to 3 inches apart. The more space you have between your cookies, the more crispy edge you're gonna have around them. So I love that. I usually, for these cookies, I honestly like to put probably no more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cookies per sheet.
Okay, back to my question at hand while we get busy rolling cookie dough. Because I was like, if you leave me alone with this cookie dough while you tell me this story, I'm gonna feel like I'm watching the best movie ever, and I won't do the work that I'm supposed to do. Okay, so where do you get your information if you're not going to culinary school to learn how to be you're such a proficient technician in the pastry kitchen. You know how to think about food, but you also know how to execute. Where did you develop that?
One, the restaurant world, and then 2, I am a very, I guess, self-motivated individual. So when it comes to failing, that's like not in like my like repertoire when it comes to stuff. I know it's definitely part of life. We all fail. Never ever be afraid to fail when it comes to anything, but I hate doing it. So when it comes to anything, when it comes to cooking or something I'm really passionate about, I want to learn as much as possible about it so that I can execute it to the level that I know I'm capable of doing it. But then also in a restaurant, we don't have room for error because you're literally serving food to individuals and people, and they are very picky, and they will let you know either word of mouth, a Yelp review, or something like that. So you've got to just be technically proficient and also just kind of like know like your flavors and stuff. So a lot of it, girl, was trial and error. I made macaroons, I think, close to 14 times before I got a good recipe that I actually was able to make 3 times consistently. Croissants, we don't even get into croissants, girl. I was about to kill croissants. I was like, I hate you. never make anything ever again. But the more I kind of learned it and the techniques, the more I fell in love with them. And it's totally a labor of love. And now, besides I'm a sweet boo-boo, but it took a lot of failing for me to get there. So lots of failing experience in restaurant work.
It's so inspiring to hear you talk about it because one, the spirit of like failure is not an option is the spirit you have to have when you walk into the kitchen, no matter like what it is that you're trying to nail.
Yeah.
The spirit of like, you got to start somewhere, but also failure's not an option.
Yeah.
That mentality, whether you're baking for the first time or whether you're walking into a new gig at a restaurant, or you have a brilliant idea for Cheeto macaroons or a gorgeous layer cake. And I love that sensibility. I just remain so incredibly impressed by the way in which you learn. I'm the kind of learner where I have to learn it. I kind of have to be taught it by somebody else. I'm a very self-motivated person. I'm not trying to like down myself, but the idea, I'm not self-taught in the way that like I need to observe it from someone, learn it from someone, sponge it, then do it myself to learn it and have it make sense here.
Absolutely.
In order for it to stick. And the idea, I'm just so enamored by the idea that you wake up one day and you go, today's croissant day. I'm gonna read about croissants. I'm gonna watch about croissants, and then I'm just gonna take on this challenge. I'm gonna start, and then failure is not an option. I'm gonna figure it out no matter how long it takes. I think some people think that baking is like you either nail it the first time or you're a failure, which is so untrue, right?
So untrue. If that was the case, we would never eat anything besides crackers all the time.
Yeah, and even crackers are hard to make.
Crackers are super difficult, right?
Yeah. And even crackers are hard to make. And I think that pursuit, like the part about Bake Club that I love the most is it's like a come as you are, come with curiosity, come with flexibility. And we're here to cheer you on, whether you like nail the recipe to a technical A, or nail the recipe to a flavor A, or you just had a freaking brilliant time in pursuit of the recipe. It's not about how beautiful it looks at the end. It's about the spirit that you brought to it and the spirit that you then put out into the world. Because I'm already looking at these. I'm already looking at these and I'm like, that neighbor's getting it. That neighbor's getting it. I got to bring some of these to work. Like, it's about what the dessert, it's a vehicle, of course, for creativity and flavor from people that love to be creative and know what good food is here.
Yes.
And the rest of it is, dessert is so much more than that. It's about the spirit and the heart. And I just can't be more excited about these.
Yeah. And I think people also just forget, like, dessert just makes people happy. And that's what it comes down to. They should just make people happy. And that's what we're here to do. Through sweets.
That's it. Okay, so these cookies go into a 375 oven for how long?
So these guys, it depends on your oven. So everyone's ovens are kind of different. I honestly like to keep my cookies in there between 8 to 12 minutes. I don't ever want to do any longer than that. But what you want to do is you just want the edges to be a little bit nice toasty brown on the outside. Middle, still really, really nice and soft. Pull them out thin because they're still going to continue cooking. So even if they're not as brown as you think they should be, pull them out, girl. You don't want no dry cookies.
I mean, Bake Club, Ty could just be in charge of Bake Club from now on because he's preaching all the things that I love to tell you about. They always bake when you bring them out, so don't wait until they look perfectly baked in there. You got to let them finish the baking process.
Don't do it.
Okay. Ty! Okay, I cannot wait to see yours come out. I cannot wait to tell you about mine. I am so happy that you joined us on Bake Club today. I'm so freaking grateful. Bake Club, if you're anywhere near the STL, you better show up for Ty, Alchemy Bakery. You can get his hands on this book, Pastry, or 2 of the new books he has coming out. Best way to stay in touch and show up for Ty is to follow him on the gram Oh, come on. He's such a pro. Put one up there.
And this is like magic of television, right? Look at this cookie.
Oh, can we just say it also looks like there's a heart over here? Look.
Oh, it is a heart. Yes.
Bake Club, you better show up like this.